Oh, hello there. I was just vacuuming the delightful cloth board that comes with Courtisans. A truly luxurious touch. Why am I vacuuming this board? I pretend to hear you ask. Well, mostly so I could expense this tiny miniature Henry Hoover to the company. And I did that mostly so that my full-size Henry has a friend in the Misk cupboard, next to the soy milks, the Allen Key collection, and Frosthaven. There you are, little Henry. Enjoy your new home. Thank you to the Shut Up and Sit Down donors who gave me the £15 necessary to buy my big Henry a small friend, and subsequently enabled me to eat an entire pack of hobnobs at my desk, mostly guilt-free. It's lovely having a game with like 6 rules because it means you can teach the entire thing in the video, which is apparently what some sickos want from their board game reviews. Amateurs! You'll start your turn with 3 cards in hand to play. You must place 1 at the table, you must give 1 to a friend, and you must keep 1 for yourself as a little birthday treat. You've earned it! Place these cards in that exact pattern over and over again until the deck is depleted and the game ends. And when the game does end, this central table is where everyone's attention is going to be fixed. If a suit has more cards above the table than below it, then they are esteemed, and everyone's cards of that suit in front of them are worth a point apiece. Now the reverse is also true. If the balance skews below the table, that faction is fallen from grace, and cards of that suit are now worth a negative point instead. A quick editor's note here. Any jokes relating the title of this game, Courtisans, to under-the-table behaviour are strongly discouraged. I don't know why they chose this name. It's certainly got some implications, hasn't it? I think the intention here is to allude to people of the court rather than, you know, the other thing. Most people I've played with seem to just think about the other thing. It's a slightly awkward one to explain to, like, your nan. I wish the game was just called Bastards in full caps, much punchier. So the game is trying to collect as many esteemed cards as possible for those positive points and trying to avoid any fallen from grace ones that you might come across, and doing a little bit of course correction if one suit falls into the wrong category. Despite the fantastical and colourful appearance, Courtisans is secretly a stock market game. Gather your fellow investors and cajole them into sinking their currency into making a suit valuable for everyone, but do maintain a profitable edge for yourself. Surf the wave of market volatility and you will be amply rewarded. You're determining 1 suit or 2 suits or 3 suits as better than the rest using only the power of collective imagination. Courtisan's most basic loop is similar in texture to games like Startups or Modern Art or Bear Raid, where sporadic alliances and betrayals simmer around the inflating or deflating of a certain suit. Bubbles bursting when someone realizes they stand to gain far less than their friend. So simple? Maybe too simple? Well, there's some gentle twists in the road, some bends, some bumps, some... Wah! Let's talk about special abilities. Most of these cards have a dinky little icon in the top corner that imbues them with a special power. ×2 cards are straightforward. Wherever they're placed, they count as 2 cards rather than just 1. Assassins will let you eliminate a card wherever they're placed, chucking it into the bin, never to return, unless they are a guard who are immune to knives in the back. Spies are the strangest. They're placed face down wherever they might end up. Their identity kept a complete secret until the very end of the game. The joy here is not these powers being explosive or dynamic or game-changing, but the ease, cleanliness, and universality of their applications, wherever they might be played. Deploy a ×2 card in front of yourself for double the points you might get normally, positively or negatively, or maybe use them to jack up a stock and secure it severely. Assassinate cards in the center to tip the balance in a more useful direction, or maybe assassinate other people's point-scoring cards at the last possible moment, or even correct your own course by removing negativity. Guards might anchor an enemy into the negative, or shore up your guaranteed positives, or just introduce stability to the center of the table. Spies are the most chaotic and strange of all, letting you secretly stash endgame swings and clusters of positive points. But they can get even sillier. Remember, you're always locked into placing cards in the same 3 places. 1 in front of an opponent, 1 sat at the table, and 1 to keep for yourself. So what happens when you get dealt an entire hand of just 1 colour? 1 blue goes to you, 1 makes them worth more, and you give the blue spy to your friend. Are they going to trust that you gave them points? What are the chances that you just drew a hand of all blue? It's all down to table talk, a facet of the game that looms larger with every single hand played. Are they going to trust your good intentions and leave their positive points, or are they going to assassinate their own good fortune? Oh yeah, that's the stuff. The kind of crumbly and crunchy texture that's so Moorish and simple that... Hey, can you stop doing that?
Thankfully, it's all very cleanly thought out and beautifully upholstered. A lack of TV vision energy with nothing free but eminently approachable. There'll be subtitles.
It's also got some really snazzy details that show a real care and consideration. The spies have little bandanas, the royals have little crowns, and a swish of gold foil is struck through every card. Ooh, classy. Ooh, and the cloth board. Well, actually, it's perpetually a little bit wrinkled and wobbly, but you know, it's the thought that counts. And sure, the game is all about that stock market mentality, but new players who are potentially a little uncomfortable with that kind of table talk and negotiation can always rely on these secret objective cards. You get dealt 2 at the beginning of the game, and they just nudge you in a direction. A hard-coded objective that gives you a slice of vested interest to push things in thornier directions. The thing is, I'm mostly just enamored with Courtisans because of how breezy and spacey it is. Simple games with good decisions will often nudge players into interested and engaged and reactive play. They'll enable interesting reads and tactical confidence in even newcomers. The complex Eurogames that we love so dearly present their own compelling puzzles, but often the nuance and interaction can get lost in option overload. Courtisans embodies the reverse philosophy, the lightest touch of rules to let player personality take center stage. Let's inject a bit of balance at the end of this review though. Courtisans is certainly not the spiciest game on the market. It didn't have my tables hooting and hollering, but rather savouring and appreciating. It's a zesty little after-dinner mint rather than a main course. It's unlikely to absolutely blow your socks off, and there are more than likely a lot of games in a lot of people's collections that fill the same kind of slot that this game does. I've also found some players to be frustrated by the random card draw, but that's surely a taste consideration rather than a criticism. Equally many players found its tactical frivolity to be far more of an asset than a downside. I think it keeps the game really peppy and bright. I just think it bears mentioning because a few people seem to think that chance is the enemy of joy. Come on, live a little. Outside of that, I feel little reason to arbitrarily temper my simple praise. Courtisans is a robust and sturdy creation that'll please anyone and delight some. It feels like such a simple blend of mechanics and realizations that I'd even stretch to call it just a smidge timeless, the kind of game that I'll be playing when I'm old and grey.